Yeah, they did find water on the moon. There's water at the poles and water underneath the soil, but it's less by ratio compared to Mars, and it doesn't do much for terraforming efforts. The soil on the moon sucks more than Mars. It's mostly like rock and glass. It's been compared to asbestos. It's not good. And yeah, there's some really not good things in Martian soil, like cyanide, but they're easier to deal with. And while I'm here, I'm going to address a couple other things that people have brought up. Mars's gravity is closer to the Earth's than the moon's. It's still only like a fraction of the Earth's gravity. Like, Earth's gravity is 9.8 meters per second squared. Mars is about 3.7 meters per second squared, so it's only like 38% or something. But the moon's is even less. It's like a third of Mars's. And that makes a big difference. There are other planets that have closer gravitational constants to the Earth, like Saturn's is 10.4 meters per second squared, but it's a gas giant, so there's no habitability there. Venus is 8.8, and its atmosphere is made of sulfuric acid. Uranus is also 8.8, and it's a frozen death ball. I mean, you seeing the problems here? And yes, I said that the moon doesn't have an atmosphere. It technically does, but only in the most technical sense. Asteroid impacts pick up dust, solar winds end up picking up dust, so there is a very, very thin atmosphere, but it's so thin that you can't detect gases in it. It is practically nothing. It is as much nothing as we can call some planet or some planetoid or some moon that exists. Because anything with gravity is going to have some form of an atmosphere because of impacts like that. But the whole point in saying the moon doesn't have an atmosphere is, like, even if we brought a bunch of, like, oxygen and nitrogen and carbon dioxide and everything we need to have an atmosphere to the moon, they would just, like, go away. They wouldn't be held by the moon's gravity, nor would they be held by the magnetic field of the moon, which, again, is practically non-existent. So, for all intents and purposes, it has no atmosphere, but I guess if you want to actually me, yes, it does very technically have an atmosphere. Again, Mars has a similar problem, but nowhere near the scale of the moon. Its atmosphere is super, super thin too, but not as thin as the moon's is. And there are hypothetical ways to create an atmosphere that actually gets trapped around Mars. Ways that we don't have for the moon. So there we have it, all the clarifications for all the hyper-pedantic people that actually me in the last video. Not saying you were one of them, by the way. The water thing is legit, but, like, saying the moon has an atmosphere is super pedantic. But anyway, I digress. Hope this cleared things up.